This is a national issue. Both sides, the right and the left, also support unity. This isn't about racism. This is about small hate groups.
Hang on, guys. Hang on. I'm going to cut all of you off for the Vice President of the United States. Let's listen in.
The grandmother told me she brought her grandchildren here 5 days ago because children had to get up at 4 in the morning to get a ticket to be able to buy a piece of bread in the afternoon. I asked her how long this crisis, to use her word, existed in Venezuela, and she said from the very beginning of the Maduro regime. It's extraordinary to think that one of the wealthiest countries in South America, in the last century, emerged as one of the most prosperous nations in Latin America, would now be collapsing into dictatorship and poverty and deprivation, as well as the upheaval that's resulted in the election of a constituent assembly that exists to facilitate a dictatorship. Hundreds of political prisoners, more than 130 Venezuelans have died in efforts to oppose the Maduro regime. President Trump's made it very clear we will not stand by while Venezuela collapses into dictatorship. We will not stand by as Venezuela crumbles. But it's important to note, as the president said, that a failed state in Venezuela threatens the security and prosperity of our entire hemisphere and of the people of the United States of America. A failed state in Venezuela will become an even greater hub for narcotics traffic that flow into our country across our southern border and victimize families and tear communities apart. A failed state in Venezuela will drive even greater illegal migration across Central America and into our country, compromising our borders, compromising our economy, and in some cases compromising the security of our families and communities. So the president sent me here with a message of compassion for these families that are fleeing Venezuela, that we are with them, we stand with them to restore democracy in Venezuela, but also a message of resolve to our partners all across Latin America, here in Colombia and beyond, that we are absolutely determined to bring the full measure of American economic and diplomatic power to bear until we see democracy restored in Venezuela.
Are you making an argument for regime change in Venezuela? And also, what would the U.S. offer for families like these, or for what could become more of a problem with migrants coming from Venezuela?
Well, the United States of America has a long and storied history of generosity with regard to refugee populations, and it's happening here in Colombia, from people fleeing, as these families I heard from today, fleeing their neighbor to the east, and the economic deprivation and the political instability that exists there today. But the American people will always come alongside allies like Colombia should this crisis continue to drive a greater refugee flow into Colombia and neighboring countries. But that being said, the president sent me here with a message that the regime is experiencing change right now, and what we're witnessing is Venezuela is collapsing into dictatorship. The election of a so-called constituent assembly, the dismissal of the chief prosecutor in Venezuela, all show that the Maduro regime is committed to using processes to change the laws and the structures and ultimately the Constitution in Venezuela to a full dictatorship. And that's just simply unacceptable to the United States. It's unacceptable to our allies across Latin America. It was heartening last week with the Lima Declaration that 12 Latin American countries took a strong stand against Venezuela's collapse into dictatorship. And the United States is going to continue to send a message of resolve and determination. We're going to continue to bring all of the resources of our nation to bear. And the president said we have many options with regard to Venezuela to ultimately make it possible for the people of Venezuela to see their democracy restored.
Louise? What does it mean on North Korea that the era of strategic patience is over? Can you explain to Americans what they might expect to see this week?
Now, for several decades, the United States has embraced the failed policies of strategic patience with regard to North Korea. I mean, successive administrations in both political parties have believed that negotiation and patience with North Korea would achieve the long-term objective of the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. that has utterly failed, as we've continued to see the Kim regime in its headlong pursuit of ballistic missiles and usable nuclear weapons that they could mount on those missiles. And President Trump made it clear early this year that the era of strategic patience is over. The United States is putting all options on the table. We're marshaling the support of our allies in the region as well as China in unprecedented ways to isolate North Korea economically and diplomatically. And the President will be speaking later today to Prime Minister Abe. He spoke to President Xi over the weekend. We're putting all of the resources of the United States and the energies of this president behind an effort to resolve this present confrontation with North Korea peaceably. But as the president has said, all options are on the table, and as our Secretary of State has said, there is no future for the regime in Pyongyang with the possession of nuclear weapons.
And on Russia, very quickly, you said the president is entitled to his own opinion. What's yours?
During all of my experience on the campaign, I've never witnessed any evidence of collusion or any of the allegations. I'm not aware of that ever having occurred. And the president has spoken his mind on the topic. But look, we'll fully cooperate. And are cooperating with the special counsel. We'll provide them any and all information. But the president remains focused. I remain focused on the job that we were elected to advance for the American people, which is restoring America's place in the world, rebuilding our military, restoring our economy with the kind of policies that have seen now more than 1 million jobs created all across our country, have revived confidence among American consumers and American businesses. We'll just continue to stay focused there.
All right, thanks, everybody. We got to go.
Mr. Vice President, on January 15th, you said that Michael Flynn's conversations did not involve Russia sanctions. You also said that there was no contact between the Russian government and the campaign. We now know both of those to be untrue. Has there been any point in which you've gone back to everybody that was involved with the campaign and now with the administration and asked them to be fully transparent with you and the American people?
Well, I think I was very clear that what I spoke about on television is precisely what General Flynn had told me. And I believe the president was right to move him out of his position in the White House.
But if after that, everybody affiliated with
and I've also made it very clear that I'm not aware of any contacts during the time that I was on the campaign between any officials of the Russian government and officials with the campaign. And I stand by that. But again, we'll continue to fully cooperate with the special counsel. We'll provide them whatever information that they require. And we'll stay completely focused on the task at hand, which is to make America prosperous again, make America safe again, and to borrow a phrase, to make America great again.
Thank you all very much. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you're listening to Vice President Mike Pence speaking in Cartagena, Colombia. Right there, taking questions from reporters on everything from Russia to North Korea to Venezuela. Not taking questions, did not receive any questions, get any questions on the conversation we were having on what the president said about the attack in Charlottesville and what he needs to say today.